Hello, wonderful Star Wars fans, and welcome back to another episode of Star Wars Alliance, your home on the Geek Ultimate Alliance podcast network for any and all things Star Wars. I'm one of your hosts, as always, Katie, and joining me is Clay, the ever busy Clay. Clay, how are you doing today?
That is an understatement. Ever busy. Holy crap. I had a very early morning, as you saw in the GUA chat, and then I shared on Instagram. Um, well, Flynn shared on his Instagram, should I say. I took Flynn to the vet this morning. He did not like it whatsoever. He is usually really good. I just think he woke up on the wrong side of the crate this morning.
Poor
But
guy
yeah,
had to get muzzled.
I know it was very unfortunate, very embarrassing for me because he is a well-trained dog. He just was not having it today. But it cost him a pup cup, and I'm sure he will be better next time.
Oh.
But I am doing pretty good. I am excited to be talking about, of course, Shadow of the Sith. We are going to be doing a spoiler filled review of that here in a little bit, but we got a little bit of news to talk about as well. But how about you, Katie? How are you feeling?
I'm good. I have a smoothie. I didn't eat lunch until 3 o'clock for my own stupidity. So I have a smoothie for dinner because, well, I didn't need a full dinner. But I'm super ready to talk about this book, but I'm also ready to talk about some of the things in the news today. Um, so we'll have to get into that. But first things first, y'all, as you all very well know, we are a part of the Geek Ultimate Podcast Network. 8 shows, 7 days a week. On Sundays, once a month, you have World's Finest
Uh-oh. For those of you who are live and me
True
editing all of this,
Believer. All right, you're gonna have. I'm gonna switch.
all right, well, I will go ahead and
Taylor.
do the network plugs here. Let's go ahead and do those network plugs now.
Am I good?
So, of course, the
No,
starting of
still
all
no.
this,
Fuck.
of course, the start of the plugs is, of course, Slice of Film every single week. Well, not every single week, pardon me. Got a little ahead of myself. Is every other week. This week was the episode of Elvis with Sarah and Katie, as well as myself. I am a huge fan of Elvis, so I did not want to miss that chance being there talking about Elvis. I had a lot of fun talking about it. I know Katie was one that was, I don't know if she never really said on the episode if she was having a great time watching the movie other than like she enjoyed it, yes, but I feel
It was very long.
yeah, but I feel so bad because me and Sarah just like took over that podcast and we just like vomited all this love over Elvis. But it was a very
You
fun
know,
podcast.
one of the best things about that podcast is that I learn a ton of stuff from people who are fans of older movies or certain like actors, Elvis, for instance. So like I know Scott felt bad because with we did Blade Runner. Um or it wasn't Blade Runner. Was it Blade Runner? I don't remember which one we did. But we did an episode and he basically talked about all the different versions of it and everything. And I learned a ton about the movie. And so that's also a great benefit of that to me is that I bring on people who are experts and they just talk about a movie they love or a person they love.
I listened to that episode. It was Blade Runner. Um, but yeah, had a lot of fun talking Elvis. So go check it out. That episode drop, of course, this week. The
Oh,
next
and sorry, just as a random note, Mark listened to it. Mark's my other co-host. for those who are unaware, and he was like, I think the best part of this episode is the Ray Charles section, where I revealed that I had no clue who Ray Charles was.
That's that is just a tease. That is probably the funniest moment of the night when we were talking about it. Really, really fun podcast. Of course, on the rotating Mondays is of course Ranger Alliance. Uh, the next episode is next week with Jake and I. We're going to be talking about, of course, the next few episodes of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers season 3, as well as a few comics. So be on the lookout for that. And then, of course, throughout the rest of the week is DC Alliance, superhero discussions, of course, right here, Star Wars Alliance. Marvel Alliance is the same night as us as far as going live for a very temporary portion of
Yeah,
time
they're
due
just going live
to.
tonight,
Is it just for tonight?
because
Oh,
of
that's
Thor.
right. Because of Thor,
Because it
they
was last
also
week
are
and
going
this week.
live. Yeah, yeah. It was last week, this week, and I believe that is it. But they are going live on Friday night because of the Thor Love and Thunder review that I'm not entirely sure if they have shared who is showing up there. They might be sharing that tonight. But I'll go ahead and ruin a little bit of that. I will be joining. Um, and the reasoning behind it, I'm gonna just go ahead and say while I'm there at the review, because it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be a very interesting review. But of course, we also have a walk through the multiverse is going to have its last Sunday this week because, of course, the boys finale is this Sunday. I am very excited. That big reveal at the end, wow, really, really fun. So I'm excited about
I was
that.
shocked.
Are you gonna be on the review? On the finale
I'm
review?
going to try to be. I have some things to do Saturday that because like I had to miss a wedding because in Antilles we thought he was gonna have another seizure and I
Oh
couldn't handle it.
no.
So we are meeting with the couple who got married for dinner Saturday. So
Okay. Well, you know what? I'll shoot you a text as a reminder as well because I know your notifications aren't always on for Twitter. So I will let
no,
you
they're never
like
on. Otherwise I would spend way too much fucking time on Twitter.
like I do on TikTok. Anyway,
Did
and
you
then of
tweet?
course
Because I don't see a tweet.
I did tweet. I did tweet it. I did not tweet it. It's literally waiting for me to press tweet. I am
Okay.
so sad.
I was
Now
like, I was going to retweet it and stuff.
I have tweeted it now. So live audience, I apologize for breaking this. But anyway, World's Finest True Believers is our last episode or the last show of the month. I have no idea what is going to be at the end of this month. Like uh the last episode was the Wonder Woman Dead Earth, I think it's called. Yeah. And I used to be really on top. You know what I used to do? I used to go on to our little recording sessions and like just seek it out to be like, oh, I know before anybody else does. I don't have time for that anymore. I don't even know. So, Chris, I'm fully going to be surprised whatever you choose to go over this month. Really excited to see and or hear, of course, who you will be joining on that episode as well. But like I said, Star Wars, DC, and Marvel go live this week. Uh, Star Wars and Marvel are going live the same day, different times, of course. 7 for us, 9:10 p.m. for Marvel. They usually go live on Thursdays. Then, of course, DC goes live on Monday nights, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All three of those shows also have their own solo feeds, so go check those out if you would like to listen to those separately, or if you would like to join us, just here at the GUA, that is fine as well. But we also are a listener supported network as well as an ad supported network. So this show will have ads. So if you don't want to hear those ads, you can always join our Patreon. $1 tier, of course, will give you just a thank you to us, which we will greatly appreciate. But the $5 tier gives you the exclusive access. Now, I'm really excited about this because I finally got the opportunity to upload my first Patreon on my own, and it is my new show called For the First Time. Which every single time say that phrase, I always think of the Taylor Swift song. But uh, yeah, it's Taylor Swift. Yes, it's Taylor Swift. My wife probably would have hit me if I said anybody else. It's Taylor Swift. Anyway, for the first time is me going over shows that I didn't really want to join the bandwagon on. So the first episode is Game of Thrones season 1, episode 1, and I am going to go on this giant journey to finish Game of Thrones. That is gonna be wild. The way that first episode ended, holy crap! I am years behind everybody, and I am just like, oh my god, what is going on? But
Yeah, you've been talking about this one for a while, and you were like, "Oh yeah, maybe I'll have it done by like preview, like when the prequel series comes out." I'm like, "No, dude, no."
well, no, see, because I wanted to binge it, but then I was like, I don't have enough time to binge it. So I am literally going to have the Game of Thrones for the first time series for 73 weeks. A year and a half for everybody for content. That's going to be very, very fun. I don't want to have to force myself to watch like 3 episodes and then talk about all 3 episodes. And also, the really cool thing is because these are old shows, I don't have to talk to them in great detail. I'm just reacting to it, talking a little bit about the characters and what I think about them. This first episode was only about 17 minutes or so. So just something really quick on like a commute to a grocery store or to work or whatever. Really, really quick. Either way, that is what I have on the docket for Patreon. I know that Katie has her legendary conversations, her comic book conversations. Those are very, very fun. So looking forward to more of those. Brent and Chris have the We Can Watch This All Day. Heinz has his top fives, of course. And then actually Batman 89 number 6 finally came out. So I have to reread number 5 and me and Snell can finally review those two and be finished with that series.
And this month for our patrons, we will be having a watch along for the first season of the 2003 Clone Wars Spectacular,
Yes.
which will then
Yes.
go on Patreon for like all our reactions and stuff to everything live. So date on that is TBD. I believe that Snell is going to put a poll on Patreon for you guys to just kind of see if there's a specific date that works best.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, looking forward
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah, and the watch along will actually be a private video for our patrons, and you will be able to watch with us. Um, I didn't know that basically Disney Plus made the old 2003 Clone Wars into just two giant movies, which
Yeah.
will be really easy for all of us to just sit down and watch at once. That'll be very fun. Like Katie said, date is to be determined by you guys, the patrons. And yeah, really, really looking forward to that as well. And I will go ahead and say this, give a little tease because I technically gave a tease over at DC Alliance. Heinz and I have something planned for patron as well, but we're not entirely sure when we're going to announce it. So not I'm pretty sure the GUA knows also, but um we're gonna make a like an actual like good fun show out of it. So we want to do some planning and stuff before we make it official. So with that, I believe that is everything on the docket for the GUA paperwork. Did I miss anything? I think I got everything.
I think that's it.
All right. So, Katie, where do we want to start off?
Let's go to Taika first because Taika's short and sweet. So there is a Rolling Stones interview that was done by Brian Hyatt, and he posted some snippets from it, and I clicked on it, but I'm using the snippets. Um and one of his questions if you go too far away from everything we've known, why is it even Star Wars? Why not just make a fresh science fiction movie? He said, Taika said, you know what? Whoever said that is actually probably right. Now that I think about it, like as you were saying that, I was like, yeah, if you take away all the Star Wars stuff, it's not Star Wars. So I attract my thing that I said a couple of weeks ago, where he didn't want it to be like too much Star Wars. He wanted to be able to play in a fresh field, which I think you can do with it still being Star Wars. And then the next question was basically Lucasfilm CEO Kathleen Kennedy doesn't hesitate to jettison movie ideas that don't seem to be working. How do you deal with that knowledge as you start working? How do you deal with that knowledge as you start work on this? And he said, might happen to me. And I think Taika of 10 years ago would be so panicked and nervous at the prospect of that. But if it's not right, it's not right. If it's not ready, it's not ready. With Star Wars, I don't want to rush. It's something I wouldn't want to just be into and not feel that it's unique. And then
So
the
real quick
last
before
kind
before
of
you, oh yeah, go ahead and do that, and then I want to jump back to the second one real quick.
so the last point that he made in the interview that was kind of Star Wars related, um it was I don't remember the question exactly. But Natalie Portman and him were apparently talking, and she said, "What do you do next?" And I said, "I'm trying to work on a Star Wars thing. Have you ever wanted to be in a Star Wars movie?" She said, "I've been in Star Wars movies." And he said, "Oh, I forgot about those ones."
I love this quote just because he's like, "Oh, I forgot about those." Like, it's one thing. It's one thing to forget about, let's say, the Incredible Hulk, or Age of Ultron, or Ant-Man. There's 29 films and projects so far, and I
Yep.
think more, of the MCU. Star Wars has how many movies? 9, 10, 11 movies, I think.
12
The
if you
the
count Clone Wars.
Okay, and 12. So, it's just like you don't have that much to remember. How did you forget one of the main characters of the prequel trilogy? Like,
And a lot of people have basically said, "Oh, well, he could have he could have just been pulling her leg or whatever." And I mean, honestly, everybody says there's 7 people on Earth that look exactly like you. So, I mean, if it's a different time, you could potentially say, "Hey, you want to be somebody else? You want to be an action star, not the queen politician person?" I don't know,
well, yeah,
but
and I've seen some people say, "Oh, just give her a hell of a lot of makeup, give her some alien aesthetics, and boom, she can be in a Star Wars movie again." Uh,
yeah.
I don't have a problem with that at all. But I just, for the quote, I thought it was absolutely hilarious. But there's this one thing that I wanted to go back on, that second question. In either case, the fact that the modern history of Star Wars is littered with abandoned projects, and he makes the comment about how Kennedy doesn't hesitate to just be like, let's move to the next one. Do you honestly think, like honestly, the praise of Ragnarok, the already praise of Thor: Love and Thunder, I feel like every project outside of Disney that Taika has been attached to is praised. Do you genuinely think Kennedy would just be like, nah, we're not doing it anymore? I legit think Kennedy is going to say, Taika, take as much time as you want.
You have to kind of play it by ear. Because obviously general public hasn't seen Thor: Love and Thunder yet. You haven't seen how much box office it's going to make. Ragnarok, I think made 1 billion at the box office, didn't it? I don't know.
I don't believe so. Let me double check.
But you kind of have to like play it by ear and see how things go with it before making that discussion. I mean, like we said last week, Taika's a very busy man. So if Kathleen goes, yeah, take as much time as you need, then we may could see another Ryan Johnson situation where we may never see it happen because all of a sudden, um, I can't remember the damn pirate show name again.
The
Our
oh
flag
shit.
means death. Our flag means
Yes,
death.
that's it.
I remembered it. Yes. Um, that could spin off into a million directions, and people may want sequels. They may want him to kind of repeat in a different era. Who knows? So you really want to rope him down and kind of see, okay, hey, can we stick to this date? Or can we guarantee a release date of like 23 to 25 and say, I want this out by 2025 at the latest?
Yeah.
I think you have to do that in order to make sure that you're actually going to get the movie from him.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, business wise, that makes total sense. But again, we've been questioning their theatrical business for a while now. But
Love
I'm
you,
looking at
Star Wars, I promise.
Ragnarok's. I'm looking at Thor Ragnarok's box office. It had 854 million, so it didn't break a billion,
Okay.
but it was a pretty penny. Um, I do think that Lucasfilm does see the value of Taika and the not as maybe aesthetic, the what the tone. I'll say the tone of what Taika can do on both spectrums because I've seen people say some of the serious stuff that is in Jojo Rabbit is really serious. And then, of course, the very humorous stuff in Jojo Rabbit, as well as in the MCU that is directed by him, is very humorous. So I do think that he can play a good fit for Star Wars. Exactly what that is, we shall wait and see. But you shared a picture on our Star Wars Alliance chat the other day, and it sparked a little conversation with us with Katie Sackhoff. So she had this picture, and I had no idea who it was until I looked at the actual username of it, and it's like the real Katie Sackhoff. I was like, oh, okay, what is she doing? And then I read the caption, says something about filming in London. What is all this
She
about?
doesn't necessarily say that she's filming in London, but because I believe she's like attending like some conventions and things in London, but going to
True, true.
London for 3 weeks just to attend conventions, like you might be visiting, you might be touristing, but I was like, Disney Plus has the volume set in England or the UK,
So,
whatever you want to call it. Just
I,
could she be shooting for Ahsoka? Could she be shooting for Mandalorian?
well, and I think it was Snell that he thought that Mando was doing additional photography. I have not seen any reports on that, but I I could see either or. I could see Mando. I could see Ahsoka. I mean, because we, from what we know, like Ahsoka's still filming. Like it hasn't
Correct.
officially finished filming or anything. I think it would make sense for Ahsoka, just because who was it that technically introduced Ahsoka to this Disney Plus franchise? It was Katie Sackhoff's character. She told Mando, "Go look for Ahsoka." And I think that going full circle, whatever story is going on in Mando, for her to go back to Ahsoka does make sense for now until I see what's going on in Mando season 3.
Because and we know Katie Sackhoff's going to be in Mando season 3. We saw the trailer that was not supposed to be seen. We saw her character in there. We know she was at the panel.
Yes.
So she could be shooting different things for that, and we know, I think we know that Pedro Pascal is filming in Europe for The Last of Us for HBO Max. So it may be more beneficial for him to travel to the UK and shoot at that stage for any reshoots that are needed versus going all the way to LA to shoot those.
Yeah.
But if you also go, hey, she could be shooting for Ahsoka, and we just need more room, or she's going to be in London for this amount of time anyways. We can rope her in so that she doesn't have to keep traveling. I think that could be completely possible.
Oh, I think so too. I also just want to say how freaking jealous I am that somebody can just be like, "Oh, I'm gonna spend 3 weeks in, freaking UK for a little bit. Peace out." And it's just like, "Oh, okay, yeah. You have fun, I guess. I don't know,
Well,
but
she's taking her husband and her baby with her, which makes me think, okay, I may be just like reaching too far on this, and she may just be sightseeing along with the convention truck. But I'm like, what if she is shooting something?
I I hope that we get something soon. Um, but I do think if anything, we will get more of Mando season 3 before we will see anything from Ahsoka. You know,
Yeah, and I mean, we still are amazed that Star Wars was able to promote more than one show at Star Wars Celebration. Even though it's the first Star Wars Celebration they've really had since Disney Plus started, but still. Still.
true, true. But speaking of Ahsoka, let's go ahead and skip our because I see you have stuff in order here for us in the notes. Let's since we're already
I
talking about
just
Ahsoka.
threw things in there. It was
Yeah,
like,
yeah. But you brought up this conversation that was going on Twitter, and it is quote unquote controversial for fans. Let's face it; that's the only reason why it's controversial. But people have been saying, and I don't know who is saying this. You may want to correct me, but people are saying that Ahsoka is a standalone series, and people do not need to watch Rebels in order to watch the Ahsoka series. Now, people may
okay, so
be
apparently,
confused by that.
so this is from an interview with what's her name? Oh my gosh. It was an interview with Empire Magazine. Ahsoka actresses Rosario Dawson and Natasha Lou Bordizzo commented on what fans can expect in the upcoming Disney Plus series. Um, Favreau and John are continuing. Filoni and Favreau, excuse me, are continuing Star Wars in a way where it can be a standalone, but it also makes you hungry for more. There have been two instances where Ahsoka has shown up on a mission. You see how she's interacting with folks, but you don't really get her per se. Even folks who've lived with her for so long don't know where she's at now in this journey. Bordizzo said, Sabine is so fearless and brave with so much grace, but she still has flaws. She's not perfect. She's on her journey. She's making mistakes, and it's very high stakes in this galactic war. I find that interesting, by the way. We could talk about this in a second. To make mistakes. And Bordizzo uh, said, when asked about what fans may be missing out on if they haven't seen Star Wars Rebels, Bordizzo assured they've got a standalone chapter as it is. A lot of people have not seen Rebels. It's great for them to have seen it, but we've got a standalone chapter as it is. So,
So that could mean, and this is just me, you know, just thinking out loud, could this be a setup to the sequel to Rebels we all want?
and what we have always been told about Ahsoka is it's the live action sequel to Rebels.
I want to go back and see who made those quotes, who referenced the show like that. Because if it is kind of like just scoopers and stuff, then there is a little doubt. But if we are hearing it from Dave, if we are hearing it from Filoni, or not Dave Filoni, yeah, but Favreau is what I meant. If we're hearing it from Dave, we're hearing it from Favreau, and we're hearing it from Kennedy, then we're like, okay, like that's what it should be. But
Right,
if
and
it's just from random Twitter people,
some of the quotes from Filoni and Favreau have made it out to like feel like it's supposed to be a sequel, but it's also like supposed to stand on its own. And like I feel really shitty about that because I'm like, okay, Rebels is highlight Star Wars. Very much so. Love the show. It is really good. If you have not seen it, go see it. It's very important to Star Wars television.
I
Um,
was late to the game. Really glad that I watched it though.
yeah. And because I was too, I didn't watch it because I didn't have access to cable at the time when it was coming out. Um, so when Disney Plus came out, it was kind of a priority to make sure it got seen. Um, but it's so good. And I think it's just a further a further pushback that's really just angering fans. It's like, oh yeah, you don't have to watch Rebels to see this. I'm sure they're going to do something very similar to like when Ahsoka first appeared in The Mandalorian, which was, hey, here's the important Rebels episodes you should watch. Which, granted,
Yes.
season 1 is your introduction to characters, but it's not as good as 2, and 2 is definitely not as good as 3 and 4.
True. I don't know. That last season really hit. It slapped though. Like it really did.
Mhm.
Uh I loved Rebels. I thought that it introduced concepts to me as a casual Star Wars fan. Um and it Rebels brought up the one thing that I think Snell hates about the Star Wars universe, and I always tell him it makes it possible to rewrite all of Star Wars, and he hates it. Um, but the gateways, the I forgot what they're called.
The world
Um,
between worlds.
yes, World Between Worlds. Um, and we're probably never going to see it again. Probably never. But the idea
I
of
if
time
it
travel is there, and I'm just like, guys, you could retcon the shit out of whatever you want if you ever want to. Uh, but I think that Rebels is important, and I think that they should, just like everything else that they've done, treat it as so, as canon, as part of this very important story that they call Star Wars. So telling people you don't need to watch that is, I will say this, I think it's easier to say you shouldn't watch Rebels because Rebels wasn't about Ahsoka.
true.
And I think that might be the reason why. If anything, they can tell people to watch important episodes of Clone Wars and then watch important episodes of Rebels. Um, just to get her character, get the reasoning why she is the way she is. And I know that might be a repeat of what they did via Mandalorian season 2 when she was introduced again. But I think that we have to remember that Rebels wasn't about Ahsoka. It just reintroduced the character to a lot of people when she was on a completely different journey than what she was at the end of Clone Wars.
Yeah. Um, and this is the downside of labeling this as a a sequel to Rebels, is Rebels, like you said, wasn't about Ahsoka. How do you how do you broach those two topics to where Ahsoka is the focal point, but then you're also finding Ezra, you're finding Thrawn. Hashtag where's Ezra? Hashtag where's Thrawn? I don't know. It's very tough, and it's going it's going to take some, like, people need to release their expectations and just go into it with a fresh mind. But I think Star Wars, and this is something that they need to broach to their actors and actresses, they need to go, hey, this is a full timeline. It's not like things are happening. Like, we are telling a full story of these characters. Rosario Dawson, Dave Filoni said, is the next iteration of Ahsoka. Natasha Liu Bordizzo, next iteration of Sabine. How can you say their previous story is not important, but continuing their legacy?
Yeah, it's very and I know I'm very contradicting myself with the whole Rebels wasn't about Ahsoka. But with the trailer we weren't supposed to see, they show a very important mural in that trailer that is very iconic at the end of Rebels. And that mural means nothing without the story of Rebels, you
Mhm.
know? So
Yeah.
that is I kind of I played my own devil's advocate there, and that's weird.
Y'all, I think to say anything more on this is to keep going in circles. I think we're both like, you should watch Rebels before watching Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And that this opinion coming from Rosario and Natasha is kind of bullshit. But
Yeah, yeah, probably. Now that I see it full circle, it is I think it is kind of bullshit.
Mark would kill you. I'm just kidding. This isn't a full circle podcast. We can say that here.
But so I feel like this next piece of news we knew this, but for some reason it never came up because I remember us speaking very small on it as far as just in our GUA chat and stuff. But Commander Cody was originally supposed to be in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. That
I
like
think we
how do
all
you
were expecting it to happen. Now in the greater storyline of what we got in Obi-Wan Kenobi, I don't think he would have been necessary. It would have been like a cool Easter egg. Because basically what they say is that Cody ends up hiding out in Mos Espa or Anchorhead, and basically watches over Luke when Kenobi has to travel.
yeah.
So it's cool, and it would have been a cool Easter egg to go if Obi-Wan goes to him and is like, "Look, what we thought was never going to happen has to happen. I need you to watch Luke." And you could leave it at that, and then there's your exploration for season 2, where we just dive into the past and we do a lot of like bonding with Obi-Wan and Cody.
True. And I think that like it would have been I feel like the ending with Riva would have been completely different if Commander Cody was there.
Mhm.
Like to say that like Obi-Wan is about to leave to go on this secret mission to go save Leia and him be like, "Hey, watch over Luke while I'm gone." And freaking Organa doesn't know about Cody, but
Mhm.
accidentally makes that call anyway. Riva gets that hollow call, sees that something's on Tatooine, goes back over there, and of
She finds a clone.
instead of fighting Beru and Uncle Owen,
Oh, and
she fights a clone. I think although it may have been badass to see Commander Cody fight again, then you have the danger of does Commander Cody die then?
does he die? Also, how does that affect Reva knowing her PTSD from Order 66 and
Oh
knowing
shit, that would have been awesome. like just like oh, see,
is what I'm here for.
so like I'm conflicted because there would be moments like this where it's like, okay, there should have never been this fight with Luke's aunt and uncle, and because I had my own opinions on that, and I felt like it was silly. It could have been, you know, a little bit more intense with a clone. It could have probably helped with that story, like you said, with the PTSD of Order 66. But again, in my mind, ultimately, do I want to lose a clone? Do I want to lose a character like Commander Cody, possibly, to Riva? And because now that they didn't use him, what's to say he can't be in a season 2? Of course, this is still
Right.
assuming we get a season 2.
Especially especially knowing that Commander Cody is in the Bad Batch season 2. It'll be interesting to kind of see how that storyline would have played out. the reason Commander Cody was cut from Obi-Wan Kenobi in the initial draft, because this is an interview with Stuart Beadle, who is still credited, but he was the original author on the script. So Stuart Beatty, I think is how you pronounce his name, said he was cut from the script because basically they would keep going back to Cody on Tatooine, monitoring Luke, and it was just too little focus on Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like you were losing the main storyline. So that's why he was cut ultimately. There's still time though. If there's truly going to be a season 2,
Just place him in there. Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't have a problem with it. But that leads us to kind of our main topic. But before we actually get onto the review, we learned, like literally an hour or two before even jumping on here, that Shadow of the Sith has been placed number 11 on the New York Times bestseller list.
Congratulations, Adam!
That is really, really cool. He even made a comment saying that Brotherhood fell on number 11 as well. I love how consistent Star Wars fans are with buying books, because it's just like, hey, this fandom peaks at number 11 at the best. Like, no matter what Star Wars book comes out, boom, it'll always be 11. Now, I think that we could recruit more readers and then maybe get to 10. But like knowing that it's possible that it could never drop, I think is hilarious because of how consistent fans are. It's like, oh, Star Wars, number 11.
Light of the Jedi, I believe, debuted at number 1. And I think that was a testament to I think it was a testament to how much the High Republic was hyped up. Especially being delayed for a year with the pandemic. So, and I believe all of the Del Rey books, and I think the young adult books as well, all debuted on the New York Times, but it slowly got less and less. And I hope it remains steady, but I think it's a sign that, okay, Star Wars fans have gone, maybe this isn't as much for me as I thought it was going to be, so they're backing off. I hope we can recruit a newer audience to kind of delve into these books because they really are very good.
Yeah, they are. And we are going to talk about how good they are in just a few moments. Before, though, of course, every single review, whether it be movie, TV show, or book, we always have a spoiler-free section. Now, we kind of did this. Well, you know what? We don't even have to do it. We don't have to do it because we did it in the last few episodes. I think like 2 or 3 episodes ago. So we don't have to do a spoiler.
We did like a small preview 3 episodes ago, excuse me, because the interview was its own episode, and then we did a spoiler-free section the week before the interview. Past episodes, we've done like a preview and then a non-spoiler. So I don't remember which ones are which.
You went out just for a second there, but that is okay. Just gonna go here and
I'm on my cell phone. I'm using cellular data. This is how much I care. Did I go out again? Am I back? Hello?
I think she cut out. Has she cut out completely? Oh no.
I'm here. I can totally see you.
All alone?
Am I good?
That's gonna be wonderful.
What the fuck?
Katie is still here, as I am seeing. Technical difficulties, everybody on YouTube. All of this will be edited out eventually. Are you here?
I'm so confused.
Okay.
Am I here?
Yes, you're here now. You're here.
Okay. I've literally, there's been nothing wrong on my end. Like, I've heard every single thing you've said, and it's...
Well, it was so weird because I blacked out for a second, and then you blacked out for longer. But...
Ooh, so maybe it was your fault.
No! Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into the review. Ready? 3, 2, 1. So let's go ahead and jump into the review with, I guess I always ask, where should we start? And I think the most important place to start, of course, is the first chapter. How this book opens. I, of course,
First of
have.
all, I guess to just really quickly say this, um, I listened to the audiobook for my second read through, and William Demerit was absolutely incredible. I think he is a great addition to Star Wars narrators, and some of the pieces involved um with his narration were really great and like gave you like the chills. So
I have not finished my second read through because my life is super hectic. But I have started the audiobook as my second read through, and I have to agree. I enjoyed all of the voices of the characters that he gave. Uh, the dramatization of the situations that they get into each character, I could really feel it. Love the tone of this book as a whole. Um, Technically, as a whole, is not something I can say yet because I haven't finished the audiobook. But still, either way, really, really fun. But we kind of spoiled this in our interview with Adam Christopher. I wasn't
oh my gosh.
expecting. Are you
Okay,
okay?
I'm good. Sorry.
Did you almost
Water went
choke
down the wrong
on?
pipe.
Oh no.
Yeah. Okay, I'm good.
All right. So we kind of spoiled this in our interview with Adam Christopher, but I was trying to keep it secret or try not to say it out loud in the interview until he said it. And I was like, oh, okay, we're just going to talk about it. And technically, even Katie had said everything that was actually put out to the public was free game. And I think that's why Adam ended up saying it. But at the end of the very first chapter, we see three names: Dathan, Miramir, Ray. And I
Mhm.
thought, holy shit, Ray is going to be a part of this story. How are they going to pull this off? Because my questioning to you every single time we talked, either behind the scenes and text over the weekend, us, speed reading through this book, was how are they going to pull this off? Because I was afraid that they were going to pull a Obi-Wan Kenobi, where they didn't meet, but they
Mhm.
did, but technically it's been so long, and secrets have to be kept and all of that. But they did a very good job. The only person
Mhm.
that had any kind of visual interaction with Rey, because that's all our heroes have. Heroes being, of course, Lando and Luke, is Lando. Lando was the only one who actually saw Rey and didn't even know her name, just saw her. Luke never once knew who she was, know her name, or even see her. He only knew about them
Yeah.
and knew that, like, well, you know what? I do think Luke saw Ray on a camera feed, like when he was looking at security footage. I believe he saw her. There is a chapter where they are stuck inside of a ship and they are trying to basically hotwire it, and we will get there when we get there. But they Luke and Lando are looking to, because the whole thing is about getting them to safety, finding out more about like how they are connected to the giant story that is unfolding. And I just thought it was very well paced for somebody who doesn't like non-linear stories. This was amazing. I loved it. But Katie, um, after this first chapter, learning Ray and Dathan and Miramir was going to be in this book and stuff, how'd you feel from the first chapter going forward?
So I had already kind of known that because I am too far engrossed in Star Wars Twitter, and literally because this was, I think, the third excerpt that came out was this chapter. Um, and it literally all my Twitter feed was talking about was Dathan and Miramir, Dathan and Miramir, and there was no tags in there that were blocked that I could go, oh yeah, no, I don't need this. I don't need this. Like, so I knew their names were Dathan and Miramir, and we were going to be talking about Ray, and I think that was like it was kind of the assumption when the book was announced, um, that they would be helping a family, and that we knew it was Ray's family, and that's kind of how Luke knew about them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
So I it it does take you a second to kind of like get involved into the book because you're going through all the introductions and stuff. You learn like there's like Halo Squadron, and then you're like, okay, hey, this actually doesn't matter. Maybe that somebody else will talk about this, but this doesn't matter in this book. I'm like, oh, okay. Um, but I like there's just so many good things in this book that just make me want to like hug this book to my chest and go, yes, 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 yes. And I know I keep saying that, y'all. I'm sorry. Um, but I really love the perspective that Lando gets in this. And I do just want to point this out that Lando has um had multiple pronouns, I guess. Um, just for our LGBTQ listeners, he's had he, but he's also had they, and they recently converted him to they, I want to say. But Lando is a he in this. So just to take care of that, there's really no other LGBTQ references in
Mhm.
here. Um, so, and I guess I would have hoped that they just got that straight and would keep that consistent, but I don't know. It is what it is.
I'm trying to remember, was it he who referenced himself as they?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember what book it was. Or was it a comic? I don't remember.
Okay.
But I know it's changed. And so Queers Watch on Twitter um keeps a very good track of those and kind of lets you know, hey, for this material there's not really anything in there. So if you want to kind of keep aware of that before a book comes out, that's a great place to go on Twitter.
Hmm, that's interesting. But I speaking of Lando, I teased this in my non-spoiler thoughts. I have never really got attached to the Lando character. Um, I think maybe just because I was bullied by way too many of those types of characters in school. So I was just like, no, not having it, don't like him. Uh, I think he had very much a certain charm about him in the original trilogy. Of course, Glover did a great job in his performance in Solo.
Mhm.
This performance surprised me, and I don't know if it's because I am a expected father, but like his story was great. His thoughts on him losing his daughter, on just like trying to find her, how long it's been, and like just knowing that he went to Luke and Leia and Han and Chewie and was like, "Hey, this happened. I need y'all's help." And they legitly tried to find her. And until basically the search went on for too long. And they eventually said they eventually all gave up without saying they give up, which really sucks. But that is literally what drives him. He sees that this family, Mirmir and Dathan, have a daughter, and he's like, no, like, no parent should have to suffer like I have suffered. And so I'm
Mhm.
going to save these individuals. Um, I was very moved by that. I really enjoyed his character. But is there any moment for Lando that really sticks out for you?
There's just so many because you get such good retrospects into you get such good retrospectives into like his work, like trying to find his daughter, but also like kind of what he's been doing over the years, and trying to um oh my gosh, I had all these thoughts before we started, and now my mind has just blanked. Um, no, I there's a lot of really good points. I loved particularly on um Therazar, I think is the planet's name. Yeah, Therazar. Um, when or no, is it Therazard? I don't know. It's where they're gassing up because it's not Therazar because they're Lando basically helps them um by leading away the reinforcements that have come. So they escape
Yes.
Therazar on Anaximander's ship. They
Yes.
escape there, and then when they go to refuel, Lando's there and he sees the family and is trying to help them escape by drawing the attention away from them with Comat. And speaking of Comat, oh my gosh, I loved her. I am so happy to see another strong, powerful woman even like come into these and take such a pressing role in a book. And I loved that she had her own lightsaber. I am curious because Comat, Comat and Luke have backstory along with Laura Santeca.
Do you know
We
who I
don't know
thought
their
about?
backstory.
Do you know who I thought about when I read Comet?
Mara Jade?
Yes. Yes. It makes sense. They like I'm not going to go as far as to say very similar, but there's points where it's like, you could basically change this character's name and you're there, minus a couple things.
Side
But
note, y'all. I got my first Legends comic epic collection today. It's the New Republic Volume 1, and the first section of it is a Mara Jade comic. So I was super happy because I didn't even realize that. I just was like, okay, I need to try and start getting these, and then I got it and I opened it up and I'm like, ooh, Mara Jade. So, side note, sorry, squirrels.
but I will say you mentioned the lightsaber already. We were kind of getting hints already and plain out said that she was at one point aligned with the dark side, and Luke had really helped
What
her out.
the acolytes of the dark. Okay, yes, acolytes of the dark, or is it acolytes of beyond? I can never fucking remember. Oh my gosh, did I fuck myself up again?
I
The
think,
acolytes.
yeah, just say
Anyways,
the acolytes, that's easier.
the acolytes. I'm sorry, y'all. I swear I'm a Star Wars fan, but I hate Aftermath. So that's where they're from. I'm sorry. The acolytes, they follow the dark side. They don't necessarily have any force powers. Hyza
Correct.
didn't have force powers. All of her force using came from the mask.
True. Yes.
So, and it says Luke purified the lightsaber crystal for her. So she was unable to do it herself. Talking about Comat.
Yes. But she was trained enough to know how to use a lightsaber. So just knowing that she had one, and when she finally pulled it out, I was like, yes. Like, and just knowing like just Adam Christopher having the descriptors in his action sequences were great. They were like
It was
having me
so
fist
good to
pumping.
see lightsaber forms and stuff.
Yes. Speaking of lightsaber forms, I know we're jumping around. We're jumping around. We will get to
We
specifics
just go where the we just go where it flows.
where the conversation flows. But speaking of lightsaber forms, Nathan, I don't know if you're listening to this episode. You need to pick up this book. I know that you have your qualms over the sequel trilogy. I know that you probably will not like the idea that this book takes place in a book and not in live action, so you don't get to see the badass Luke that you want to see. But my God, this Luke is a bad ass from start to finish. Like he is going all out from start to finish.
Mhm.
There's a moment where he's taking
Well,
care.
hi,
Like,
Nathan.
is he jumping in here? Is he here?
He said, "Does Lando try to bang it out with Luke?" No, no, he does
No, he
not.
does not. I really love the bromance between the two of them. I love how I said this in my non-spoiler thoughts a couple weeks ago as well, that like because tension is so high in trying to find uh I just jumped on when he said my name. Now, I will say that the situation of what's going on in this book is so intense and emotions are running high with Lando, and he's so determined to save this family. When things are looking grim, he is not afraid to yell at Luke, and Luke
Mhm.
kind of gets upset with him. But then, as I said in my non-spoiler thoughts a couple weeks ago, there's moments where they just like look at each other and they're just like, "What are we doing? Like, we don't need to fight. Like, we can do this. Like, we're bros. We can do this." And then they hype themselves up. Like, they can be angry at each other and then hype themselves up and get ready for the mission again in like 3 pages flat. And I just love that about them because they were not a this was the buddy cop Star Wars book I was not expecting.
Gonna say that. It's totally a buddy cop. And I love it. Like there is just some great moments. Like this feels so much, and Nathan, I said this to you, this feels so much like an expanded universe book where Luke got a report about something and has to go look for some Jedi stuff, and then some people end up tagging along. Like it's totally what it feels like. And Luke is still looking heavily for Sith objects because most of the Jedi objects were demolished, destroyed by Sidious and Vader to prevent the Order from coming back up. So he was looking for Sith objects and everything. And I love the ending um where Luke has the Vizier's mask in his chest and is like,
Yes.
I gotta figure this out. Like you totally get that feeling like, oh, what is he gonna do? What is he gonna do? And then he like takes off again to places unknown. I'm like, where is my Lore Santeca and Luke Skywalker comic where they're exploring everything? Like
Yeah.
I need that. Like I need a Comet beginning story where she meets Luke and does all the things, but then I need like a Lore Santeca and Luke Skywalker exploration comic because I feel like that would be best handled in comic, not
Oh yeah.
necessarily book.
I think it could run for a while. But
Yeah, because this is 21 ABY and Mandalorian is 13 ABY.
yeah. And
Yes, Nathan, I'm not going to put that one on the screen, but yes, it's way before The Force Awakens.
so the book right off the bat, the very first chapter states that I believe Ray at this point is 6 years old.
Six. Six.
So,
And Ben is 16?
yes. Yes. He is 16, but doing the math with where this takes place and where Mando takes place and where uh Return of the Jedi is, this is 11 years
I'm looking it up.
after Return of the Jedi, I
Return of the
believe.
Jedi is 4 ABY. Return of the Jedi is 4 ABY.
Yeah.
Ben Solo was born in 5 ABY.
Hmm.
So Rey was born in 10 ABY with the 6 year. No, she was not born in 10 ABY. Excuse me. Um. So and Mando is 9 ABY. So
Yes.
this is 11. No, math. 22 years. Fuck. Oh my gosh. 12
Okay.
years
12 years.
after
Yes.
The Mandalorian. This is 12 years after The Mandalorian.
That's what it was. Yeah, that's why I brought in Mandalorian. So it's 12 years after Mandalorian, and Mandalorian
Mhm.
takes place how long after Return of the Jedi?
5 years.
5 years. So that's a total 17 years. And we know from Force Awakens, Rey is well, see, this is what confused me. Force Awakens is how long after
Yes, Nathan.
does Luke have his academy at this point? Yes, he does. He has his academy. He has several different people teaching younglings.
Hmm.
We don't get specific names. I think we only get one specific name.
Yeah.
In Luke basically just and it's a throwaway name. He Luke basically tells Ben, "Hey, replace so and so with teaching this form," and basically just getting Ben to go do busy work, basically.
Yeah.
But
And The Force Awakens is 34 ABY. So it's smack dab right in the middle. So it's 13 years before, um, not smack dab in the middle. It's 13 years before The Force Awakens. And then after The Mandalorian, it's 12 years. So if you
yeah,
count The Mandalorian instead of Return of the Jedi, it's smack dab in the middle. That's where I was going.
yeah.
Um, so
So I this is your like badass Luke years. He is
mhm.
he is a considered a master. He is teaching. He I Nathan, this is going to be a big spoiler for you, but uh uh you're selling me. Well, I'll tell you this. I don't know if this is going to sell you on it, but just the mention of this name and the fact that he actually talks to Luke freaked me the fuck out was the fact that at one point Luke is getting basically engulfed by the dark side. And there's one individual that saves him. It's a force ghost, and he gives
This isn't a spoiler, it was in an excerpt. So Nathan, you can go read it if you want, but it's Anakin fucking Skywalker.
it's Anakin fucking Skywalker. Now, the one thing that tripped me up is the fact that even Luke Skywalker saw this force ghost getting in combat position and was like, "Wait a minute, is that Obi-Wan?" And I'm like, "Oh shit, Obi-Wan is back to freaking fight alongside Luke Skywalker." And then he talked about the arm, and then when he said his name, I was like, "Oh fuck, it's Anakin fucking Skywalker." Now, about that, let's jump to that moment. Anakin warns Luke that there is a huge disturbance in the Force and shit is not right. That's basically what pushes this narrative for the movie or for the book to go even. Yes, little Annie. Yes, little Annie is in this freaking book and it's amazing because he has the long Goldilocks hair. It's so good.
I thought he was I thought he was said to be older, so he was looking like Obi-Wan, but he looked fully human. So like it was looking
Well,
towards
they they
um
did they
like
did
the
give the
original Force Ghost in
yes.
Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. They did give a descriptor that like he was a little older around the face, but he still had the long hair. And then when he spoke his name, it's like, okay, yeah, that's definitely Anakin Skywalker. But he basically warns Luke Skywalker that there is a disturbance in the Force. And then, just like Katie over here skipping on this podcast, Anakin basically just like poofs and he gone. Is that like the last we see of fucking Anakin Skywalker? Because you don't see him
Like that we're
again for
just
the
picking
rest.
this up.
You don't see him again throughout the entire book.
Um, I want to say he has an appearance in Bloodline. 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 I want to say he has an appearance in Bloodline. Um,
Where is Bloodline timeline wise? Is it before or after this book?
Before.
See, that doesn't count because
Mhm.
he disappears. And it legit, like when I read that, it legit felt like Anakin Skywalker's Force Ghost died.
I don't I don't think so. And you have like for me, we've moved beyond having the need for Anakin Skywalker. Nathan's gonna be really mad at me for saying that. So I don't necessarily know. Like he may have other appearances, but what I would say is like Adam Christopher Nathan. He said, "Who's the author?" So Adam Christopher.
Yes. And then he
Yep,
gives an
angry
angry
face.
face for the Anakin comment. Yeah.
Um, what I would say is, as a Force Ghost, we know that that requires a lot of energy. So he may have to just build up energy to return at some point. But this definitely makes it look like, hey, this is really the first time he's appearing to Luke. So if we want Skywalker reunion with like Anakin and Luke, then he would have to return. He would have to return at some point. Sorry, I've talked a lot today, and my mouth is just like.
You can't really trust water either. You almost choked.
I know.
But it felt very real when I was reading those moments because the way Adam Christopher had those describing words is Luke felt him in the Force and then he just disappeared. He heard
Mhm.
his voice kind of echoing out, but then he just didn't feel him anymore. So I was like, what the hell does that even mean? Is he dead? What's going on? Can you like didn't even know you could freaking kill a Force ghost? What the hell? But it
There's
was
a point in the Truce of Bakura, where Obi-Wan appears and has to. He's basically called by Luke because Luke is looking for guidance, and Obi-Wan's like, "Well, this is the last time I can appear to you. Like, you're on your own," kind of thing. Um, so they could choose to go in the same direction, um, but may not necessarily. Nathan says R2D2 and C3PO.
they
Um,
do not make an appearance at all in this book.
R2 is in this.
Oh, yes, sorry. R2 does make an appearance, but C3PO does not.
Yes.
Uh R2 is basically the the third wheel in the buddy cop. Um
Nope.
and he of course he has his attitude as well throughout the entire thing. Um and it's more like he cuz I say this Nathan, I say buddy cop because this is just Lethal Weapon. Freaking Luke Skywalker is uh Mel Gibson and Lando is Glover. It totally makes sense. But R2D2 is also a buddy cop to Luke because like after Luke makes a comment or Luke will run away and go fight somebody like with force powers or whatever and R2D2 is just like basically he's had enough. He's like, "You know what? Forget that guy. Come on, Lando, let's go fix this, so that way, Luke can thank us later," basically. Is the attitude
Mhm.
R2 has throughout this entire book, which I think is absolutely hilarious. But talking
So the
oh, yeah,
truce.
go ahead.
Sorry, going back to the truce at Bakura. Um, he he in 9 ABY visited Luke for the last time in a dream, and Kenobi told Luke that he must move on from his spirit form to another realm. As Kenobi explained it, from the time of his death until then, Kenobi's spirit had been in an intermediate stage between life and the afterlife. And Luke was distressed that he would lose Kenobi's guidance, but he comforted Luke with the knowledge that he was not the last of the old Jedi, but rather the first of a new group of Jedi. And his last words were, "And now farewell. I loved you as a son and as a student and as a friend. Until we meet again, may the force be with you." That was his last words. So,
Okay. So I like Nathan's comment. Who's Joe Pesci? I I wouldn't say uh Santeca is Joe Pesci, but Santeca is also the just because you know what he reminds me of, and I don't know if you would understand this reference because I don't know if you've seen this movie. Um, but you've seen the modernization of Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio, right?
yeah.
Oh my god. Write it down on the sticky notes. So in that movie, there is a priest that is basically uh Romeo's like right hand man. He like gives him all of his knowledge and like, hey, this is how you should swoon Juliet and all of this and all that. I think that Santeca is that priest. That is 100% how I feel. Uh, but I think his character is important as well with how
Yep.
he doesn't manipulate, but he does encourage Luke to be like, "Hey, we need to pursue this. Like, there's something going on," and like he is the oh hell yes I have. He's seen Romeo and Juliet, but Santeca's character is the one that really motivates Luke to go out on these expeditions, should I say, to look for these artifacts. He's like, "Hey, I think we may have gotten something. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but like I heard some rumblings. Let's go check it out." And they go, and that is when we see another one of our badass moments with Luke fighting. And I think that's the really cool thing about this book. We see these moments where random people are being taken over and they kind of duke it out with Luke. And whether it be
Yeah.
in the I would say just for what's the not earthly realm, but like in the physical excuse me, in the physical realm, they fight with lightsabers and stuff. But then it gets very mental where they are basically projected to freaking Exegol
Yeah.
and they fight there sometimes. And that was a trip within itself because, again, we were introduced to the idea that the only way you can get there is through the Sith holocron. And that's a whole thing
Wayfinder.
with Wayfinder, sorry. And that's a whole thing in this book as well, is playing around with that idea. So you know it just the way the book goes around. It's like, okay, these are planting the seeds for what we will eventually see in the sequel trilogy. And this was a very good point of how Adam Christopher was able to bridge this franchise. And I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really respect how well he was able to do it. Because roping in a lot of characters, he has a lot of original creations, but he also ropes in several older ones. The he ropes in Shriv Surgav, who is I believe he's heavily present in Battlefront 2, Inferno Squad. Or I'm sorry, he's in Battlefront because he's a Battlefront character. He's not in Battlefront 2 Inferno Squad. But he's there. Obviously Ray, Ochia Bestoon, like not having a whole lot to go off of for his future. That really worked to his benefits. Beaumont Ken, who is he's the Mary from Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
That his character in The Rise of Skywalker. That's who that is. Um So he was able to rope in Beaumont and actually give Beaumont like good things to do on like in the book, because
Hmm.
everyone was like, "Oh, well, he replaced Rose for what he was supposed to do," but Rose was not like Beaumont didn't have much to do in the Rise of Skywalker, anyways. Um, Tython is roped in incredibly well for its usage, and I like we've talked about this a little bit, but like seeing how the Seeing Stone was used, I really want to see Grogu's perspective from how he went, like what he saw in the Seeing Stone.
Yeah, yeah. I I'm just waiting for. I know that right now Grogu is a side character, a very loving side character, but it's only a matter of time before he is the spotlight of everything that we're seeing in Star Wars. I feel like whether it be in the next
Yeah.
5 years, next 10 years, whatever, I think that it's a possibility. Nathan also asks, do we find out how the hell they planned to have a dagger shaped like the Death Star wreckage? Of course, this dagger plays a very big part of this novel. With of course, oh shoot, what was his name?
Uchi.
Yes, yes,
So, and Nathan, basically what they don't go how the dagger is shaped like the Death Star wreckage. The assumption is because Ochi's unsuccessful at capturing Rey. If he had been successful, then the Sith acolytes would have then told him, "Hey, you just flip this portion up, and that becomes the Death Star." With this being 17 years after Return of the Jedi, they could have done anything with that dagger. We're not made to feel like that is 1,000-year-old dagger. Um, and while it is, Ochi assumes that it's a Sith artifact.
yeah,
And honestly, the Sith probably made it because what's a cool piece of this dagger is that it's lightsaber resistant. So it's made from a particular metal that is lightsaber resistant, but it also absorbs the blood of people that of any blood it touches. So Dathan and Miramir are stabbed with this blade, and literally it just sucks up all their blood.
yeah. That that death. I I legit
I,
had to stop reading. Um, it
mm-hmm.
was a beautifully tragic scene, just because we get the perspective of course, Dathan and everything that he's been through this, and his anxiety of being a cloned and son of Palpatine, and in those
Mm-hmm.
moments of his death, like it is like in their eyes a very sad moment, but like at the same time it's a big fu to Ochi. He's just like, you're never gonna
Yeah.
find. And even so, like Mir, the way she thinks two steps ahead.
I loved her character so much. She's so smart, and you can completely see where Rey gets her knowledge from, and her willingness to kind of just do anything.
Yeah, her
Um,
ingenuity. Yeah,
Knowing that Miramir actually had a relationship with Unkar Plutt and was like doing things back and forth, you can kind of see why Rey was involved in some of the ships that were in Nima Outpost. And so that was a cool touch to see. And Miramir is just so great. Like her picking up the beads so that Ochi goes to Basana instead of going
yeah.
back to Jakku, even though, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you are you are on the outskirts of Jakku. How the fuck do you not go down
They
there?
no, they even question it. They say we should go to Jakku, and Ochi, being the ever
Because
so
he's like
into
drunk half
himself that
the
he,
book.
yeah, he is so hungry for power also, and he's just like, no, no, I'm gonna get her, and I'm not gonna waste my time on Jakku. So
Yeah.
they fly over, and of course this leads us exactly to where we eventually see in Rise of Skywalker, with him being basically dragged underground and never seen from again.
Yeah.
And I was just like, the freaking breadcrumbs. It's all there. It's all there, and
Well,
it's great.
and and like the minimal characters that we see, like Beaumont Ken, um, is one. Enric Pride is another. Richard E. Grant was Enric Pride in The Rise of Skywalker, and he's in this. And the utilization is so flawless. Like you're like, oh yeah, he belongs here. There's no introduction. Like we don't need it. And like I'm so thankful I went through and like wrote down things as they came up for me to look up later because I didn't even recognize that that was like a Rise of Skywalker character. I was just like, oh okay, yeah, I'll look this up later. And then I was like, oh, Enric Pride. That's the guy who has the other guy killed because he's a traitor. So I was like,
Yeah.
it's so well used. And I love, did you catch the TIE Defender that Kaiser flies?
No.
So Kaiser's flying a TIE Defender, which is Thrawn's project in Rebels.
Oh shit.
Mhm.
Huh.
Right? I'm like, I'm fairly certain. I'm doubting myself. TIE Defender. Yes. The three-winged
Yeah.
um the three-winged ship. It's a TIE fighter. It's right here. Oh wait. Okay, thanks Nathan. He says I'm right. We're gonna go with that. Oh, I'm on Legends. That's why. Because I was like, I was reading this, and you look, and you're like Grand Admiral Demetrius Zarin, and I'm like, that's not right. No, it's canon. Yeah,
uh,
Thrawn, Arinda Price. Yep. Hey yo. So
okay,
yeah,
so
that's the ship.
talked a we talked a little bit about Lando, about Luke. We've talked the not major details of Rey and her family, of course, Dathan and Miramir, talking a little bit about their characters. We haven't really talked about the Sith, the real enemy of this book. Of course, um, remind me because I'm a dummy. I just grabbed a blackish book thinking that it was Shadow of the Sith. I accidentally grabbed Brotherhood, and my headphones are not.
This is like pure black.
I know
This is gray.
I was just grabbing something. Sorry. But my headphones are not long enough and I can't go grab it. So remind me the name. Um so at one point Luke is like, "Hey, I have to do this on my own." And he is confronting this enemy and he even talks to both Lando and oh shoot, what was her name again? Starts with a C
Comat,
or
Kaiser.
yes. No. First one.
They
What'd you
both
say?
they both start with K, by the way.
Oh, K. Sorry, not C. Comat. He told Comat and he told Lando, "Hey, this is what we're doing, and this is the plan. You're gonna go help uh Dathan and Miramir. You're gonna go help them. We're finally gonna save them. Whatever. I'm gonna go confront. Uh oh shoot. What was her name with the mask?
Kaiser.
Kaiser. That's it. Yes. Uh,
And the mask was she wore the mask of Viceroy Exim Pantshard.
yes. This fight. Now, of course, there's many fights between them, but the final fight,
Yes. Where she's
whole,
dead.
holy shit! Now she isn't dead yet.
She's dead. She's
Is
dead
she?
dead in the last fight.
Is she dead in the last fight? I thought that
With
she
the
like.
dragon.
Oh, that's right. Yes, yes.
Nathan, he was trying
Where's
to grab Shadow of the Sith.
I was trying to grab Shadow of the Sith, which now that I look at the back of my bookcase, it's right there. But
Also, Shadow of the Sith is so much bigger than Brotherhood.
I know. Okay, don't. Don't judge me. It's been a long day.
Too late. Too
Anyway,
late.
anyway, let's talk a little bit about, because this is a giant game of chess that uh Luke is playing. Again, dealing a lot with having to meditate, having to really understand his enemy, but it gets really intense, so much so to a point where Luke is fighting this individual and has her dead to rights. So much so that he's just like, killing her with a lightsaber would be a mercy, but she's basically already dead. So I'm leaving. He leaves,
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden, I can't remember who shows up. I feel like, was it somebody who showed up, or did she just get up, like burned
Are you
and
talking about,
all?
like, when she dies?
Yeah,
So, okay, so I've funny enough, I, like, turned basically to the chapter of that fight.
nice. What
Um,
chapter was it?
and chapter 50.
Cool.
Um, so it's all of the droids that, that were in the room that Luke is kind of seeing and everything, that have the kyber crystals powering them. They get up and, come to life and actively, what did they do? There's 9 droids, uh, possessed and controlled by Exum Panchard, and so they grab, Kai's body and march through the sepulcher, I think it's a sepulcher, um, and go into the forge chamber, and they basically stick the mask in and allow it to get. Oh, the droid part is at 51, by the way, not
Uh,
50.
yeah,
And so they drop the mask into the lava, and basically the power of Exum Panchard allows the kyber crystals to grab onto it. So it's a red mask instead of um the burnished metal that Kaiza typically wears. And her one of her arms is completely gone, and the droids actively attach one of their own arms to her body during
yeah,
this. Um, and so she is completely dead, and the droids are melting and everything. And the final droid places the mask on Kaiza, and Exum Panchard is in complete control from that point. And you get this haunting little chill when, at the end of the chapter, because it's a very short chapter, it's 4 pages. Um, it's not at the end of the chapter, excuse me. But it's like he puts on the mask and takes off, and they talk about a new voice being added to the rest because that mask has just been through so many people, and each time the power just overwhelms them, and Exum Panchard just takes over. And that voice gets added to the rest of them as souls that he's claimed in his journey to ultimate power.
yeah. Insane. That fight alone was insane. Very eerie.
Because you get the points where Luke is like, I can help you, and Kai's like, I can't be saved anymore, and like completely just lets Exum take her. And it's just heartbreaking, but you kind of Nathan or Nathan's not watching anymore. I see 0 viewers. So Nathan is not watching anymore. Bye, Nathan. Um I think this kind of leads him in the direction. This is one of many that just kind of says, okay, I can't trust people who say that I can that they can be
That's
helped. And it's
but that's
just
what
something that
I
he
felt that
learned.
feeling also. I felt that this book is a clear sign of the evolution of the Luke that we eventually get in the
Mhm.
sequel trilogy. As much as people may like look at this and be like, "Oh, this is all badass Luke, and we're gonna get another badass Luke," until we can eventually get to that point, and then I won't like no, like the seeds are sown
It's a
here.
it's a journey.
The seeds are sown to a point where this weighs so much on Luke. because
Mhm.
he is so desperate to save Heiza. Like there are moments where he's like, "You don't have to do this anymore. You don't have to do. You could just throw the mask away. Just throw it away. You'll be fine. We can do this
Yep.
together." And like, it's so sick because there's moments of like she basically. I think there's only one legit moment where she is able to like actually get to Luke.
Speak for herself.
Exactly. But after that, it's all a trick. It's all, just Noctis just playing tricks on him. And it's heartbreaking.
Noctis is the owner of the lightsaber. Exum Panchard is
That's
the
right. That's
mask.
right. Yeah, yeah. Sorry.
Because I kept getting confused too. Is the downside, but yeah.
There's a lot of dark side in this one individual. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I feel like that's all we can really talk about without like diving like point by point.
Yeah.
And we've hit a lot of the high points, y'all, and there's a ton of high points. Um, if you were looking for more, yay, good job, Nathan.
Just downloaded the audiobook. Very good. Message us when you're finished. We want to talk about it with you.
Mhm. Um, and if there's a point where you're like, I want more badass Luke, where can I find it? If you're willing to do different timelines, y'all, promise you, expanded universe legends, that's what you're looking for if you really just want to see a lifelong badass Luke. There's still points where he gets hit and has to learn a lesson in those, but y'all, not everything's going to be there. So there's other options out
Yeah.
there. Legends is still Star Wars. So,
And I will say this. I think with the very good reception Shadow of the Sith has received, who's to say Appleseed is not a continuation
ooh. That's what we
of
talked about last week.
yeah. Like I could see Lucasfilm, Star Wars, Disney, whatever, Del Rey, or whatever they are called now, sorry. Um
Random House Worlds.
yes, Random House Worlds can decide, hey, you know what? People are really liking this kind of storytelling. They're liking the journey that Luke went on. I think that there is do you know what I want? We had the buddy cop with Lando and Luke. I want cuz I know it's out there. I know there's a story out there. I want the Padawan story of Luke and Ben. I want Luke and Ben to go out. I like the story of basically how he turned to the dark side from like the moments he started training with Luke to the moments he turned that book, because I bet you anything there is still badass Luke there, you know. I think it can work. I think that it genuinely could.
I
Nathan
definitely
says
think so
I am
as
planning on
well.
going on a Legends kick pretty soon. So there you go, Katie. He's gonna start jumping into Legends too.
And y'all, the place that I would recommend to start off in that, before we get back to Shadow of the Sith, is Truce at Bakura. It literally takes place the morning after, um, Return of the Jedi ends. So that gives you a pretty decent place to just start and go from there versus trying to pick a different starting point. Obviously, you can go back to the beginning of the timeline, and most Legends books nowadays are going to have the full timeline either in the front of the book or the back of the book. I don't exactly know. In the mass market paperbacks, it's the front of the book. But in the trade paperbacks, it's the back of the book. So just kind of pay attention, but that would be where I recommend to start off if you're looking for Luke's stories only. Um, Luke and Ben story. I still think that that would be a very good comic run where you could go comic series where you could take that all in and just go, okay, hey, each volume is its own separate mission and go very similarly to what um Star Wars and Darth Vader have been doing, like, every 6 issues, there's your volume, this is a connected story kind of thing. I think that would really work. Um, I can see, like, maybe a specific mission, especially once you read Padawan, because I know you have it. You've gotta
I
read that
have
next.
I have not started. I will admit. I need to. Uh, but yeah, go ahead. Keep going.
Um, but there's just some really good, like, solo missions that could happen, where you could devote a full book to those, but I don't know if we're going to see those because I feel like Star Wars is moving in the direction of wanting to put Luke Skywalker on television with his Jedi Academy. So there's your downside. But at the time we're at currently for Star Wars television, Ben is about 5 years old. So I doubt Leia is going to let Luke take him that young to become a full youngling. So
True. That's definitely true. Now, I do know we're kind of on a time crunch here. We got about 20 minutes until Marvel jumps in, and I don't think we have that much to talk about more on this book.
I think
Like
we're I think we're
we
pretty much done.
we talked some really really high points in this book. Um, just do you want to give last kind of thoughts on the book? And if you want to rate it, you can rate it, but solely up to you.
Um, this is a book that is definitely one that I have been dying for Star Wars to put out for years. Y'all have known about it. I know I talk about it nonstop. Um, so I was very glad to see because I had very high expectations, and so I was grateful that those expectations were met and actually exceeded because I was like, okay, I know how this story goes, how it ends, so I have to like draw lines. Um, but Adam Christopher did an incredible job. For me, this is definitely top tier non High Republic Star Wars books that we've gotten so far because the High Republic is just on its own and it's a very nice like narrow story, I feel like. So that's like different. Um, but I'm super happy with this book. I hope Adam gets to write another book. I'm hoping maybe that's the Comat Lor Santeca Luke story. Um, but we'll see what happens. Um, yeah, I y'all, I could gush about this book all day long. I really could.
uh, I'll just, kind of repeat everything you were saying, except for the fact that for me, and I said this to you, um, every single time Nathan was saying badass Luke Skywalker, it wasn't until midway through this book where I was like, oh shit, this is exactly what Nathan was talking about. Um, so those of you who have wanted that story, this is it. I absolutely love it. I think that it goes balls to the wall when it comes to the Star Wars lore. So you kind of have to be careful with that because if you're not already knee deep in that, you may not understand some referencing. Um, but of course, that
That's
is
what Wikipedia is for.
Wikipedia. That's why you should get into comics, everything. There's some cameos in here that were very, very fun. Uh, uh, Nathan, I don't know if you knew, but of course, Ochi is a bounty hunter, and he tried to kill a very famous Jedi at one point, and it showed in this book, which was very, very awesome. But yeah, very, very fun book. At some points, heartbreaking. This book has emotion. Uh,
Mhm.
I absolutely loved it. Uh, I, of course, am finishing up my second read uh, probably next week because this weekend, like I said, I have to get started on Padawan. That is going to be our next book
Mhm.
review. We still have to plan that out, but it's just great. We could probably I would have no problem going chapter by chapter on this thing, but we have already gone uh a minute 45 and I know you guys don't want us to go on for an extra 3 hours. So,
if y'all are interested in that, because there is a lot in here, we could definitely focus on doing a specific segment where we do in fact go chapter by chapter and really talk about it and just kind of spread it out over the next couple of weeks. When Nathan and I started, we talked about doing a book club where listeners were involved. So if y'all are interested in that, definitely let us know.
yeah, that would be awesome as well. I know that a couple of our patrons have jumped on the bandwagon of getting this book. So, Dave, I know you were one. I'm so grateful for you listening to us and then immediately jumping on and grabbing that book. I know John as well has grabbed the book. So let us
And
know
I
your
just a
thoughts.
shout out to John. Sorry, just a shout out to John. Goldsboro Books. I ordered the fancy copy of Shadow of the Sith with the signature and the red pages, and they have sent it to John instead of my address, which I put in, which Goldsboro, I still would love to talk about this because you have not responded to my tweets or my emails.
Uh
And I
oh.
can't call you because you're in the UK. So thank you,
John's
John,
like,
for
ooh,
sending me
look
this
what
book.
I got.
No, I want my book. Please, John. John has already said he's going to send it to me. Don't give him any ideas, Clay.
Oh, that's awesome. But yeah, the idea of the book club sounds amazing. If people are interested in it, let us know. We can make time for that for sure. But with that, guys, thank you so much for lasting this long. This is a hefty episode. Of course, you can always find me at fanboyclay on Twitter. Go into the link tree in the bio. You can find the links to all of the shows that I host, that including DC Alliance, Batman News Weekly, Ranger Alliance, and of course, right here at Star Wars Alliance.
Y'all, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. It's at Slice of Katie. That is where I post all of my things. My other show on the Geek Ultimate Alliance Podcast Network is on Twitter as well. It's at Slice of Film One. Upcoming for that, we have Where the Crawdads Sing, which that is the next book I have to read because I need to read that before I see the movie so that I can properly judge it. Um,
That's not how things work. No, you can get to the book
yes,
whenever you want. You don't have to do it immediately or
it
before.
is. It is also my July book club book for my neighborhood book club, so I do have to read it.
Oh, okay, okay.
If I'm going to read the book, then I want to read the book before the movie. So that's what I'm doing. Um, Where the Crawdads Sing, and then Nope is up next, and then it is finally split. So, um, that is what's upcoming for Slice of Film. Y'all, Star Wars Alliance, we are going in depth Edge of Balance Volume 2 next week, which is the last piece of the High Republic that we have yet to talk about on this podcast. So very
For a
excited
while.
for that for a while. Um, it's actually not that far away. I was like, oh my gosh, it is July. Things come out in October. So
That
we
is
have
true.
3 months. um, so that is that. We will also be talking about in upcoming episodes. Um, the courtship of Princess Leia, to compare and contrast to the Princess and the Scoundrel, as well as Padawan. So, yep,
Yes,
he's pointing to it on his shelf.
my copy of The Courtship of Princess Leia is there on the shelf. Was able to get it basically brand new, if not brand new. Um, I was super excited when Barnes and Noble was like, "Yeah, sure, we have it." I was like, "Fuck yeah!" And they're like, "Yeah, it has to be shipped." And I was like, "Damn it!" So I had to wait a little bit, but at least I have it. It's there. Um, I have to do so much reading. My God, what have I done to myself? I've always said, I always said before I jumped on to Star Wars Alliance, I was like, you know what? I think I'm done with books. I'm just okay with comic books. And then I jump on Star Wars Alliance, and Katie's like, "Hey, do you want to read 50 books in a year?" I'm like, sure, I guess. I don't know. Um, but either way, I'm having a
You
lot of
have to
fun with
read
them.
Padawan, and then you have to read The Courtship of Princess Leia.
Yeah, and then
So that's
immediately after
short.
that, I'm already having to prepare for The Princess and the Scoundrel. It's like right there. And then after that, we're already jumping into High Republic. It's nonstop.
You have a month off in September. There's no book coming out in September. You'll be fine. It'll be
It'll be fine.
fine.
It'll be fine.
Y'all, Star Wars Alliance is on Twitter and Instagram. It's at Star Wars Alliance without the A, and the war is very important. Don't forget it. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. We greatly appreciate it, and we appreciate you if you're listening. So have a great day or night, whatever time of day you are watching or listening, and we will see y'all next time. May the force be with you. Damn it, I fucked that up.
See you guys later.